Alright, welcome back to a inverted episode of Crash Bandicoot 4. This Snacks Dimension island is awful. It's got this weird water filter effect, and your movement is like really slow, like you're underwater, and it's the most frustrating thing in the world. Like, it makes the levels 2 times longer because it's just so slow. But like everything else in the level still moves at the same speed, except for Crash. I don't know, it's super weird. And it's just really hard to get used to. But this level wasn't too bad. This level's actually pretty short, to be honest. But like there, like bouncing on that box 5 times. It's like the slowest thing in the world. I struggled with this part for some reason, because with how slow Crash moves here, I don't know, it threw me off, because like the vans still move at the same speed, but Crash is moving slow. I don't know, it's really strange. And like the weird like warped water effect, it wasn't so bad on this level, but like Rush Hour, that level with Tana on the rail, that was pretty bad. But again, this level really wasn't that bad. I think I only really tried this like one time. I died a couple times in the process of it, but no more than 3 times, so I still got the gem. But I didn't have to try this level very many times, if at all. And surprisingly, in the normal level, I had so much trouble with these wall runs, and I had no trouble with it in this at all. Anytime I got to this wall run, I went right through it, no problem. Which it was only like one other time, because I think there was a run where I made it almost all the way to the end, and I messed up at the end a couple times and had 4 deaths, so I just restarted. But this part is, you know, pretty basic. No different than the normal. I've kind of come to really like the Kano mask. I don't mind any of them anymore, to be honest. I've actually come to like really enjoy doing these levels, especially like Insanely Perfect. So, which as of recording this voiceover, I am finished with Insanely Perfect, so I have gotten the Perfectionist trophy. So you'll see that episode after this one. I'm not going to go into too much detail on that here, because obviously I have to voice over that episode as well, but I have finished all of it, which is a task that I thought was going to be very daunting, and it was hard for sure. But some of the levels that were really hard and gave me the most struggle, I really didn't expect them to. Like, I thought the very last level, the Vortex Castle, was going to be the hardest, and it honestly wasn't. So, but anyway, back to this Inverted. I didn't have any trouble with this here. I breezed right through it pretty much. It's kind of crazy. Actually, I think I almost missed this one right here. It's either this one or the next one. No, it wasn't this one. Maybe it might be the next one. I almost missed landing on the TNT. And I like pull something out of my ass to make me land on it. It's pretty wild. Or maybe that was one of the other attempts. I don't know. No, it wasn't. Okay. I don't know. I feel like I remember doing that one time. It might have been one of the other attempts I had. I'm not sure. Anyway, that's that. We have the bonus round coming up. and I cut a lot of the attempts out. I usually I didn't have any problem with this bonus round in the normal level that I remember, but in this inverted, with this water effect, I don't know, it really messed with me. I struggled. I definitely tried this like 5 or 6 times before I finally finished it. So, it's not a very hard bonus level, you just have to be kind of methodical with your jumps. Like right here, I just jump up out of the way just like I did in the normal level. So they all blow up, and then you want to jump over that. You don't want to trigger that yet, because you want to go up top first. Because if you trigger that nitro, then you kind of screw yourself. Because one of these trigger switch boxes reveal more nitro, I'm pretty sure. So, anyway, you don't want to trigger that nitro trigger yet. That's like the last thing you do. You do it here when you jump across this time. So you just bounce across, and then that's it. Just don't linger on that one nitro box, because it will, the explosion of it will kill you. Just get away from it. Now with that done, there's only really the final stretch of this level, which is pretty simple. It's just a matter of doing some flip things with Monty Lolly. I think I died a couple times here. This is where I died a couple times. Mostly just because this, the bottom part here gets a little tricky with the nitro crate down below and the TNT robot thing. I was trying to figure out what I needed to do here, because you have to phase and then unphase. Well, the hidden gem's there, actually. That was an intentional death. I forgot about the hidden gem. So, like, really, I don't think you can get that hidden gem without dying. I'm pretty sure it's impossible. So, you pretty much have to die to get that hidden gem. I could be wrong. It might be possible, but as far as I know, it doesn't seem like that is a possible hidden gem to get without it. So that may actually have been the only death I had. Well, I did die one other time, obviously. You can see I had 2 deaths. Oh no, there it is. So, yeah, I had my 3 deaths, so I was like, alright, this is it. I gotta make it. I had no other option. If I didn't make it, I was gonna have to redo the level all over again. Because I like to get all the gems. Even if I already... Well, most of these inverted attempts is the first time I've attempted it inverted. But I just like to get all 6 gems in one go. I just prefer it that way. There are some that I get insanely perfect on, which is crazy, but it happens. There's actually one in this episode. I won't tell you which level, but there is one in this episode. An insanely perfect inverted. And it's probably the one you would least expect to get an insanely perfect on, to be honest. Actually, speaking of insanely perfect inverted, I'm working on the very final island, like the Cortex Island or whatever, with inverted, because they're the last levels I have to do. And I did the first level already, the nitro processing, and I was working on, okay, so here it is. There's all 6 gems for the inverted for, what is this level called? Food run. But anyway, I was working on toxic tunnels, And I actually almost insanely perfected that. But I messed up at the very end. So I still haven't finished it though. Oh, no. I did make it all the way to the end, but I was missing a box, and I don't know what box I missed. It's kind of weird. So anyway, we're moving on to Rush Hour. We'll talk about that episode when it's time for that episode, I guess. Sorry, I get very distracted and go off on tangents when I do this sometimes, so I don't really write any of this down. I just kind of go off the cuff on these because, one, I've already talked about these episodes in the normal version, getting the insanely perfects, and there's really not a whole lot of difference for the inverted. I'll discuss like the hidden gem part, but that's about it. So the hidden gem is right here on this level. I go across and I let all the platforms come back, and you want to stand on this fourth platform and let it drop, and you'll get the hidden gem, and then just use his little vacuum to float and get back on that one, and then you can just go straight back across. So it is possible to get that without dying. Wait. So again, this level was one of my least favorite levels when I was going for insanely perfect, and yeah, it just, with this water effect, it made it 2 times slower. And I mean, Dingodile is already kind of slow as it is, but like, I don't know, this level's very long. There's a ton of boxes, and yeah, this water effect just makes it even worse. So if I go off on a tangent during this, then I'm sorry, but I don't really have a whole lot to say about this level other than that, because the hidden gem we've already gotten. And other than that, the level's exactly the same. It's just got this stupid filter and it's mirrored, so there's not much difference. Obviously, don't miss this box down here. You should know about it already if you have done the normal level. You should have 113 boxes at this point, at least. Now here, you can break that box like that. You can also jump with Dingodile and spin, and you won't break the nitro as long as you spin at the right time. It's a little tricky to do it that way, but it is possible. The safest way is to just use the enemy though to break the box. This level did give me a lot of trouble. I had to do this over and over and over, and mostly because I really just wanted to make it through Dingodile's part without dying. And only because I wanted to save all of my lives for Tana's part at the end, just because I hate that final sequence with Tana where you have to jump across all the buses and like trucks and stuff. It's just my least favorite part of the entire level, aside from the part in Dingodile's where you have all those nitro crates and flying bots carrying nitro crates. I hate that part too. But anyway, the very end of the level with Tana, I just wanted to save all my lives for that, just so that I could not have to worry about getting across with like my final attempt, because I've already died 3 times. So my goal was to make it all the way through to Tana without losing a life. So I restarted this quite a few times because I would lose like 1 or 2 lives already in Dingodile's part, at like, especially at that final portion of his level, side-scrolling part of his level. So I always use this TNT to break this nitro crate, just because F that guy. Now, this part is, you know, the same. It's a little tricky. It's one of the trickier parts of the level, but you just gotta make sure you suck up this TNT and just let go immediately so you can jump across the gap. Those platforms do not stay very long, and although it does feel like in this N.Verted, the platforms that fall stay just slightly longer than they do normally, but it could just be in my head. I don't know. I definitely know everything moves at the normal speed aside from like Crash and Dingodile and Tana. They all seem to be slowed down like at least 1.5 times, if not 2 times. It's super weird. Like you just feel so slow and like floaty. It's so funny too. I always like playing this game because I played this side by side with Returnal when I was playing Returnal, and it's just funny. Like there's so many like, I say similarities, but hear me out here. Just like with Cortex's dash, like it's so much like Celine's dash with, you know, how you like dash straight across in a perfectly, you know, horizontal line, and then like there's some boss fights where you have to like jump over like circular like particles that will hurt you, and it's very similar to Returnal. There's a lot of that in Returnal, and it's just like this floaty part in this N.Verted with this water. There's a whole entire water biome in Returnal where Celine jumps higher and she's very floaty because she's underwater. It's just really funny that it worked out that I played these games at the same time, and I just happened to see all these similarities between the two with like gameplay mechanics. It was just funny. And I mean, obviously they're like completely different games, but it's just funny how that worked out. Alright, so Tana's part, it takes forever to get control of her. Like, I don't know if it's the filter and she's slowed down, but it's weird. Like, she does that, like, stretch thing for like a half an hour before you can start moving. So honestly, I'll stand by this. I think Tana is probably my least favorite character to play as. I can't really tell you why. It's between her and Cortex. There's times where I enjoy both of them, and then there's times where I really just dislike them. They both can't crouch, obviously. I mean, Dingodile can't crouch either, but Dingodile, like his vacuum thing is just fun. Like, I don't know, I just like his vacuum. But like Tana's double jump is weird. Cortex can't double jump at all, but he has the dash and he has the gun, so it's kind of fun to play with him. But I don't know, Tana just feels clunky, which I assume she's supposed to be that way. I stood there for a second because I was confused. I was like, where's the box that's supposed to be here? But I guess the enemy broke it. But Tana, I don't know, with this level, I was mostly concerned with Tana's parts just because she has a lot of rail sections, and if you miss something, you're just going to have to die because you need to get all the boxes, so. But yeah, her rail sections, and like this filter, it made it so hard to know when you needed to jump for the boxes that you have to jump for. And like quite often I had to restart because I would jump too early or I'd jump too late and I'd miss a box that I would jump for. But it's just like with the ripply, like warped water filter, it just makes it really hard to tell. I mean, it's already hard enough with the depth perception in this game for things like that when you're riding on a rail or whatever. But I don't know, with this filter, it just made it 100 times worse. So this is the last rail section. It's probably the longest rail section. It's probably the most, there's a lot going on in this rail section. Oh no, this isn't the last rail section. There's one more rail section. But still, this one is tough because you have these two back-to-back. And if you miss that trigger one, it sucks because they're really close together. You hit both of them with your hook shot back to back, and if you pull your hook shot just too early before the little icon comes up, then you're gonna miss it. So. I always go break those boxes first, just in case I died. It's nice. It's good to use that enemy to get that box that's out there, so you don't have to worry about it here. So you should have 356 boxes at this point. You may have more if you destroyed Nitro and the Dingodile part, but you should at least have 356. Or I don't know. I don't think I destroyed any Nitro that was necessary or unnecessary. I don't know. I may have. But as long as you're around that number here, you should be good. So this is the last rail section, Tom. And there's a lot in this one. There's definitely a lot using the hook shot. And there's a lot of like combination of jump and hook shot. So just pay attention. But again, if you're doing this inverted, you've probably already done the normal, so you should know. But, you know. These inverted levels on this Snacks Dimension Island are... I wouldn't say they're like the hardest, but they're just the most aggravating with this weird water filter thing. So this is another part that's just tricky in this level, regardless if it's normal or not. If you don't time this properly, you won't be able to jump on this box because the fire will burn you. So it just sucks. So just hope and pray and cross your fingers that you jumped on it at the right time, because you can't see it, so you don't know when it's going off. You just kind of have to wing it. So I don't know if you've noticed. Excuse me. I don't know if I think I pop it up here again whenever I get to this checkpoint. Yeah, I don't know if you've noticed, but I have not died yet. And believe it or not, I insanely perfect this inverted version of this level. And this level gave me a lot of trouble doing insanely perfect on the normal version. So the fact that I insanely perfected the inverted just blew me away. I couldn't believe it. I didn't even really realize it until I like finished it, and I was like, wait, I didn't die. So it's pretty wild. There was a couple times where I came close, like right here. I was like, oh shit, and luckily there was a van right there. So I just waited as long as I could, because I was pretty far towards the foreground. I didn't want to risk getting pushed off a van because I went out of the world or whatever. So I just kind of kept here, and I was just studying the traffic pattern. I wanted to save time, and I was like, oh shit, I thought I was gonna die again. But then I was like, all right, this is my opening, I gotta go. So I just went, and luckily there was a van, rode it, we jump up to the final platform, hit the trigger, and we get the gem. So that's all 6 gems for Rush Hour, and it was also insanely perfect. Even though I've already insanely perfected the level normally, but the fact that I got that on an inverted is just cool. So, I know this is a little long, but I just felt like it made sense to just put all of these levels in one episode, because there is only 3 levels on this island. There is no timeline level, although the final island does have 4 levels because there is a timeline level. But I'm just going to put all 4 into one episode. It might be long, but it'll be the last inverted episode, so that's just what we're going to do. I don't know what I was doing there. I was standing there doing something. So we move on to the Great Escape, and this is a level where you play as Cortex for half the level. Well, really it's like 3/4 of the level you play as Cortex. But again, this, I wouldn't say I struggled with this level, because it's not really that difficult. There's just some parts that are wouldn't say kind of difficult, because you just basically have to get lucky. I mean, there is timing to it, but I don't know, I still think a lot of stuff comes down to luck in this game. So here, we're going to jump across this gap, and we're not going to break those boxes. It's very important you do not break those boxes. And then we're going to make our way up these bounce platforms, and we're going to jump over top of this HVAC ducting. And then we're going to jump those boxes, we're just zip over, and there's the hidden gem. So now, we can jump back across, break that box, don't forget that box, it kind of hides with this filter. And then do that, make sure you break the TNT, and then just make your way up. This next part is one of the parts that's tricky. I know I talked about this in the Insanely Perfect episode, but this part up here just sucks because you pretty much just have to get lucky. I mean, I feel like that's just what it comes down to. Because you gotta dash across, you gotta blow up this TNT guy. And you can't shoot this box, it's too far away. I don't know why I did it this way either. It was a bad idea, but I had to go back because I was like, that's not how I usually do it. Usually I dash to the box and then jump onto the platform and dash across, but I, for some reason, jumped on the platform first, and I don't know, it still worked. But here, like, you gotta get on that platform, you gotta shoot that box real quick, and then you gotta get off it because you'll fall. And I do feel like you have a little bit more time in this. It could be in my head, but I don't know, it feels like you have just a hair more time in this N.Verted than you did in the normal version. Okay, so here's another part of the level that's just pretty crappy. You have to time your jump through this smashy thing up here, and it just sucks. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's pretty hard to time. I literally bounce on this arrow for a little while here to try to figure out when it's the best time to go. And I actually timed it like perfect. But you can do it without using the TNT. But you can trigger the TNT and then just solely bounce off the arrow and do it. It's just harder. TNT gives you a little bit more control, in my opinion. So you don't have to hit this trigger switch up here because the only reason for this is for the hidden gem in the normal level, but the hidden gem is in a different spot in the N.Verted level, so it's not really necessary to hit it, but I always just hit it anyway. It just feels weird not to. There's no need to run back because there's nothing else there. It's just where the hidden gem was in the normal level. Wait for these 3 luggage carts to go past. Bellhop carts, whatever you want to call them. And then scoot across. Now this is the final section of Cortex. It's a little bit of a side-scrolling vertical platform climbing thing. It's not too bad. Just take your time because there's some enemies you have to make into platforms, and they're stacked on top of each other, so you just have to make sure you do not get killed by them. Break these boxes. I think you can blow up nitro just for fun. Now remember, with this, you want to do this when they're coming away, not going in. If you do it when they're going in, you're going to get smashed. So, here's the first bit with the enemies. There's, yeah, like that right there. I don't know how I didn't get hit. It was wild. I just turn this guy into a bounce platform as close as I can to the ground, and then turn this guy into another bounce platform. But you want him to kind of be low, so if you make him too high, it just makes it hard to get over this right here. Now that part's kind of tricky. You just have to do it at the right time. I mean, that's all there is to it. It's not necessarily like super hard, but you have to time it just perfectly, or else you'll get blown up. So I just kind of slowly turn them into bounce platforms as needed. So So like I go back down, bounce, bounce, then I can bounce my way across. Just be careful here because there's a guy above that you can bounce up into. There's that guy there, so just, you know. Make sure you get that fruit box, and that's it. We're just going to jump across, break these boxes, and do the last couple enemies. This final section is pretty simple. You just gotta keep moving. That's really all there is to it on this part. Just run across, dash, run across, dash, run across, dash, run across, dash. Just keep moving here. Because these platforms fall. The next set does not though. But they move back and forth because they have TNT in the center. But yeah, these platforms do not fall down. You just have to make sure that you're in the right spot so you don't blow up the nitro. This last one is a little tricky. You just pretty much have to jump over top of them. And I died. I was pretty pissed about that death too because I was like, man, am I going to insanely perfect this level too? I would have though, if I would have made it past that, I probably would have been insanely perfect. Which is just crazy because I struggled with this level. Alright, now this is the final section. And it's just the part where you control Crash or Coco if you play as Coco. And jump across all these crates that are coming out of this ship. There's a bunch of boxes you gotta spin, and it's just tough. It's tough to stay on, it's tough to not fall off. It's just tough. Right there, almost fell off. To the end, there's only a couple more boxes left. And that's it. Box. I was like, just keep it down, spin the nitro trigger, and there's your gem. So that is all 6 gems for the crate escape. And that is going to also do it for this N.Verted episode. Like I said, there will be the final insanely perfect episode coming up after this one, and then the final N.Verted episode will be after that. So I'll see you then.